What's up, everybody? How are you? Welcome to After Hours with John Marks, and this is another Phillies Notes. As we have another Phillies signing today. Hello, everybody. Welcome to After Hours with John Marks, and we have more Phillies news to talk about here with a big signing today. Maybe the one that was flying under the radar a little bit because we knew that they were interested in acquiring a bullpen arm. You just didn't know how it was going to happen or when it was going to happen. Were they making a trade? Was Bohm going to be involved? That's how they got their late inning reliever guy. But they made a signing today. Actually came down during my show. Before we get to all that, make sure you're liking and subscribing. What do they say? Smash the subscribe button on YouTube. 97.5 The Fanatic. We're trying to get those subscriber rates up there. So please, if you're watching this on Twitter right now, go to 97.5 The Fanatic on YouTube and subscribe. And for me as well, you can see my credentials at the bottom of the screen across all social platforms at John, JON, MARKS Media, at John Marks Media. All right, a lot to get to, including the outfield situation where Dave Dombrowski said they're set in the outfield. But Phillies sign reliever Brad Keller comes down a 2-year, $22 million deal. I like that if he's good because now he's under contract for next year. So you have your closer under club control for next year, and you have Keller under control for next year. Really an interesting case because he came up with the Royals as a starter and had some pretty good success. But then things started to fall apart. And then when he was converted to a reliever, he was not good. But as a starter in his first 3 big league seasons, had a 3.5 ERA and became a reliever and did not do well. Had high ERAs, signed a minor league contract with Chicago this year, with the Cubs this year. And he had his breakout season. A 2.07 ERA, and not only just during the regular season, 75 strikeouts, 22 walks, and 69 2/3 innings, but then in the postseason. And this is something I talked about today on my show on the Fanatic Middays with Marks. I feel like Jeff Hoffman might still be a Philly if he would have came up big in the playoffs. But as it stood, he came up small in a lot of the Phillies playoff appearances. But Keller, the exact opposite. This year with the Cubs in the postseason, 5 appearances, a 1.59 ERA, and 2 saves. He has 5 pitches that he throws. He relies mostly 40% of the time. He throws a fastball, a sweeper, and a changeup. But he does have 2 more pitches. Now, here's my question. Here would be my question. Because I've seen Keller pitch this year. I thought he was very good. I hadn't heard of him before this year. 2 years, $22 million. Not a huge contract. A great contract for an 8th inning pitcher. Teams could have looked at him as a closer. He did close for the Cubs a little bit last year. But why was he available at that price tag? 2 years, $22 million. Maybe teams didn't have a lot of money to spend. Maybe there weren't as many teams in need of an 8th inning guy, a 9th inning guy, and spending that kind of money. But like the market was there for the Phillies to take him. So this is one of these moves where with Garcia, them signing Garcia to a 1-year, $10 million contract, we've seen Dave Dombrowski swing and miss on those type of moves before with Whit Merrifield last year with Kepler. So I don't feel great about that move. I feel really good about this move. This is an analytics driven move on top of the performance that he had this year. If you go and you look at some of the advanced analytics that are available to you online, you're seeing his stuff, balls in play, hard hit rate, and things like that. He's in the upper percentages as a relief pitcher in all of baseball. So you're getting a guy, at least in 2024, that was very, very, very good. Now he's got to do it again. He's got to do it again in Philly. But all in all, very happy with the signing. This is what it makes me think about now with the team as a whole, because the Garcia signing, I know a lot of people thought, we'll get to this in a second. I know a lot of people thought like, well, hey, yeah, they're still going to sign Bader, or they're still going to get another outfielder, and they're actually set in the outfield now. Maybe a minor move or a platoon player that they sign, but for the most part, they're set in the outfield. So they're trying to get to the trade deadline, and they're going to regroup and reset. The Phillies are going to regroup and reset at the trade deadline. And this is Dave Dombrowski's MO. And then he's going to go out and he's going to get another outfielder or another reliever or another starter, whatever he doesn't have right now is what they're going to get at the trade deadline. You saw him do it last year with Bader. It worked out very well. You saw him do it the year before with Austin Hayes. It did not work out well. So Bohm looks like he's going to be on the team, but the Phillies right now, this is how they're going to try to win. Good starting pitching, good bullpen. Great starting pitching, bullpen. And the lineup does enough. They're better defensively now than they were last year, and the lineup is good enough. And then whatever they need, maybe Aroldis Garcia isn't the starter and he's in a platoon situation after the trade deadline. Very possible. Kepler was signed to be the starter, and he wasn't necessarily the starter when he wasn't playing well, right? At the end of the season, he wasn't the starter. Nick Castellanos is making $20 million a year. At the end of the year, he wasn't the starter. He was very much a platoon player. So just because they signed Garcia now to be their everyday right fielder doesn't mean he's going to be their everyday right fielder when it's all said and done. But now you look at this bullpen, and I start to get excited because this has the makings of a really, really good bullpen with Duran, who is your ninth inning guy. You're never going to wonder, oh, well, is he a closer or he can do it sometimes like Alvarado. Alvarado could be a closer, but he wasn't the no doubt about he's pitching the ninth inning. That's Duran. And he's not going to save every game, but he's got elite stuff. He's got elite stuff. And I'm very, very comfortable with him pitching the ninth inning. So now in the eighth inning, you have Alvarado and you have Keller. So before, a right-handed bullpen arm, you didn't have Keller. You weren't going to rely on Orion Kirkring. I never believed that was going to happen. And I know what happened at the end of the year with the Dodgers and him having a total brain fart and throwing the ball away. And essentially that was the end of the season. But he's not a high leverage guy. If he's pitching the seventh inning, love Orion Kirkring. Pitching the sixth inning, love Orion Kirkring. If it's 4-2 and you're behind and you want him to pitch the eighth inning, Kirkring's not making any money, and he's a good arm. You don't need to trade him. I don't need to worry about it. If he can't recover from what happened last season, then it's going to be over anyway. But he was never going to pitch your eighth inning. So now you have your eighth inning guy as a right-hander. You have your eighth inning guy with Alvarado, and you still have Matt Strahm, who was rumored to be possibly a trade piece because he does carry some value. He's making $7.5 million, and he's on the final year of a contract. So a team can say, hey, $7.5 million, good reliever, proven track record, good dude, let's trade for him. Don't know if that's still a possibility. It is, but I really like having the combination of Alvarado, Strahm, Tanner Banks from the left-handed side, and then your right-handed relievers right now would be Duran, Keller, Orion Kirkring, and then you would have a minor leaguer potentially. They had a Rule 5 pick from the Miami Marlins organization, Zach McCambley. Now, he may not make the team. As a Rule 5 pick, the Phillies need to carry him on the roster for the entire season, or they have to offer him back to the Marlins. I don't know how that's going to play out. They may, in spring training, say, here you go, you can take him back if you want him. But he's a possibility as kind of your last reliever. And then Max Lazar, who looked good at times last year on the Major League Club, made their postseason roster. Not a high leverage guy, but he's got some decent stuff, and he could be my sixth inning guy. He could be the long guy that comes out of the pen. So that combination right there, and you're always going to have injuries anyway. So there's going to be relievers that are making appearances next year that we're not talking about right now. They'll sign minor leaguers or former major leaguers to minor league contracts, and they'll fight it out to make the majors, or they'll be in AAA to be one of the first guys that get called up. But very, very comfortable with this bullpen, very comfortable with the starting pitching. And hopefully Aaron Nola bounces back this year and he's not pitching to a 6 ERA. But Luzardo, Chris Sanchez, top 1-2 on your team right now. And Zach Wheeler, if hopefully you can get him back at some point. And then you have Andrew Painter, who you're hoping that you're going to see something from this year after a disappointing year in AAA. So Sanchez, Luzardo, Nola, Taijuan Walker, final year of a contract. Thank God they have him. At least he can give you innings. And at some point, Zach Wheeler. So feel much better about the bullpen now because that is shored up. All right. So let's talk about the outfield, because Dave Dombrowski, and I'm not Barry Horowitz. I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but it was pretty clear to me that when they signed Garcia, based on how much money they have to spend and needs and things like that, that unfortunately Garcia was going to be the outfielding move that they made. And this was essentially going to eliminate Harrison Bader. And some of the reporting since then has pointed to that. And then Dave Dombrowski himself came out and said that he's pretty much set in the outfield. Don't love it at all. Don't love it at all. You sign probably your worst hitter as far as approach to the plate that has a ton of raw power that if things go right in 2025, in 2026, not 2025, it could be a great signing. It could. It could also be another Max Kepler. It also could be worse than Kepler. He could actually be worse than Nick Castellanos. So defensively, it's an upgrade, but this isn't about defense. They didn't lose the divisional series to the Dodgers because of defense. They lost it because of offense. And I'm just not sure where he goes in the lineup and you're filling a hole and you're solving a problem because it's still a problem. Maybe he has a great year. Maybe what we saw the last 2 years isn't what he's going to be this year, but he's a swing guy, swing first guy, not going to work the count. And if he hits a meatball and he gets a mistake or he's looking fastball and he gets one, yeah, he can put it 440 feet. But he's not adding to what this team needs. This team needs better hitters and more production during the postseason. He has the track record in the 2023 World Series. We'll see if he has it again with the Phillies. But at where you were and how much money you had to spend, and the fact that you have Nick Castellanos making $20 million and you're going to more or less give him away or you're going to have to release him, Garcia becomes a $30 million outfielder. And now that's not his fault. That's Dave Dombrowski's fault. That's a bad signing for Nick Castellanos, who wasn't horrible his entire career. He's had his moments. He was pretty good, but now it's over, and it's really over. Defensively, he's bad. Teams don't want him. Someone will pick him up once he's released, but no one's going to say, okay, we'll give you this C-level prospect, and we'll take $5 million of his contract. You pay 15. I don't even think that's going to happen. They know that the Phillies have let it be known that he's not going to be on the team this year. So I don't think Castellanos, you're going to get anything for him. Maybe some salary relief for $1 million or $2. But your outfield now, it's rough. Marsh, and I'm going to put Otto Kemp as the left-handed platoon, or excuse me, the right-handed hitting platoon. So Marsh, Kemp in left. Always want to call him JP Crawford. Justin Crawford in center, which I'm actually fine with. Crawford needs to develop. He's a young player. He aced AAA last year. He's selective at the plate. He works counts. He will get walks. He can steal bases. You wonder how many of these singles that he's getting at the AAA in the minor league level will translate to hits in the majors. The analytics will tell you they're not, but overall, he has a good approach at the plate. I'm excited to see him play. Not an above average defensive center fielder, but that's where he's going to have to play because he's better than Marsh at center field. At least that's what it appears right now. So you have Marsh, Kemp, Crawford. Now you have Garcia as your right-handed or really your right fielder, but yes, he's right-handed. So Garcia takes care of the right-handed portion of this lineup. The reason why Bader wouldn't have made sense to come back other than money is Bader plays center field, which is great. He's a good center fielder, but now you have a bunch of left-handed bats in left field, which Marsh isn't a right fielder. Crawford's not a right fielder. And you have Marsh, Crawford platooning in left. You don't want to have two left-handed batters platooning in left. I suppose you could move off of Marsh, but I actually like Marsh. And Bader wants 3 years, and I'm perfectly fine walking away from Harrison Bader. With that being said, the outfield right now is not good. You have Rojas that I guess he could be on the major league roster. Still could be traded. Doesn't seem like that's happening, being that it hasn't been done yet. And you have Weston Wilson, who could be on the roster, could be in AAA. Maybe another veteran that gets invited to spring training and signs a 1 year or a minor league contract. That's always possible as well. You have a couple of young players like Rincones that's down in the minors. They were touting him last year, and he actually didn't have a good minor league season. So I don't think you can count on him this year. But, the outfield's going to need a lot of work, and that's why I'm saying you got to get to the trade deadline. You get to the trade deadline, now you're saying, okay, like Harrison Bader last year, we can grab this player. We can grab that player. So all in all, still underwhelming. Still wish that you were able to get a little bit more for the outfield, but keeping Bohm, who probably didn't have much of a market, didn't enable you to clear enough salary, and you could have maybe targeted another outfielder that was a little bit better. Some criticism on Dombrowski without knowing the market and knowing what was really out there. You can look at the available free agent outfielders and say, well, there really wasn't anybody available. And the fact this guy's a 1-year contract and he has had success, it's worth a shot. And I agree it's worth a shot, but I also have to wonder, the creativity of Dave Dombrowski. I need a move that isn't just writing the biggest check and being like, oh, yeah, Trey Turner, big check. Kyle Schwarber, here's another big check. Garcia, 1-year contract, here's a big check, right? Like, where's the Pat Gillick move that offsets some of the bad moves that he made? Pat Gillick made some great signings. Jeff Jenkins wasn't a great signing, but he made up for it with Jason Worth. So what is the signing that Dave Dombrowski has made that's been an under the radar, $1 million, $2 million, that's really panned out to where you're looking at this guy and saying like, wow, like that's a hell of a move, hell of a trade. And I'm just waiting for Dombrowski to make that. Howie Roseman with Zach Bond, bringing Zach Bond in for just a couple $1 million. He's a top 5 defensive player of the year. Different sport, but it rings true. The argument rings true. Hey, Dave, just writing the biggest check's not going to do it. You need to make a move where I'm saying, wow, it's a great move. Like, wow, $1 million, $2 million, minor league contract. Jeff Hoffman was successful. They got him off the waivers. They gave up nothing for him. Dave Dombrowski's a good GM. I do not like the outfield where it is right now. And now you're relying on the trade deadline because Crawford, what upside does he have? He's going to be a rookie. He's not a power hitter. The expectation is that he holds his own and he's good, but he's not helping to carry the offense. I need somebody that can come in and can be a potent part of this offense, can give more pop in the offense. Garcia at least gives you that possibility. We've seen him do it before, but my worry is that he's going to come to a city like Philly and players like him drive us crazy. And, it's an 0-2 count, runners on second and third, and he's up there swinging fastball and they're throwing slop in the dirt, swinging a miss, struck him out. Poor approach to the plate. I also don't know where they're going to bat him in the order. I'm curious to see where they're going to try to put him in the order. Thompson does a good job of moving guys around once you get really past Harper or Schwarber in the order. So I'll be curious to see where they try to start him off at. But in some form of combination after Turner, you're going to have Schwarber and Harper. I don't know if it's Schwarber, Harper, Harper, Schwarber. And then if Bohm's on the team, I guess he makes the most sense as your cleanup hitter. I certainly don't want to put Garcia there. And then the last piece here on the Phillies is JT Realmuto is still not signed. The money is put aside for him to sign. They probably have a really good idea what he's going to get. They know what they've offered him. So it's a matter of JT now just saying, okay, I'm signing or I'm going somewhere else, or maybe getting a higher offer and making the Phillies add more money to it. But at this point, I'd be shocked if JT was not a Philadelphia Philly, and I think the Phillies would too. They're certainly operating like JT is coming back. So another signing by the Phillies. This one is a good one, and I'm excited to see what this bullpen looks like. Make sure you're subscribing to 97.5 The Fanatic on YouTube, and watch my show Middays with Marks if you're not a 97.5 The Fanatic viewer and you're catching us on YouTube because we're in your Phillies algorithm. I do a show 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on 97.5 The Fanatic every Monday through Friday. You can watch us on YouTube. Again, just go to the Fanatic Facebook or the Fanatic YouTube page. Or if you're in Philly, you can listen on 97.5 The Fanatic or on the 97.5 The Fanatic app. You can listen anywhere. It's on the iHeart app, wherever you get your radio. You can get it right there. Until next time, we're talking Phillies. See ya.